Hey guys, CryptoDad here again, and welcome to the live Q&A in LA every 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks for joining me. Let's get moving. Okay, welcome everybody. It's good to be here. I'm talking to myself right now, but that's okay. I got some news to cover and kind of stale on the ideas, so I'm hoping to give you guys will give me some good questions, some troubleshooting stuff that we can do tonight. So I'll just jump into the news and hopefully someone will join us soon. Alright, so let's go over here. Alright. So one of the first major things that happened this week, let me see if I can, yeah, Bitcoin turned 10. And there's actually quite a few stories by quite a few of the high-end mainstream media websites about Bitcoin. In fact, I was doing a news search on Bitcoin birthday, and there are quite a few different websites, mostly, you know, crypto related or finance related, but some mainstream news about Bitcoin and what it is. And apparently, you know, there was some additional interest and jibber jabber about Bitcoin this week on the birthday. Hey D Wolf from Germany, glad to see you here. Hello Scott out in Hawaii, thanks for joining us here. All right. So I was just checking, there was quite a few mentions of Bitcoin's birthday this week, and I read a very critical article about Bitcoin on the birthday day on either November 30th or the 31st. And it was weird because I could have sworn I had read the exact same article, just sort of running down all the criticisms of Bitcoin, and one of them was comparing Bitcoin to some other technologies which really weren't fair comparisons. They were saying things like, you know, PayPal started and in 10 years they, you know, were doing so many millions and billions of business and transactions, and, you know, Amazon in the course of 10 years was doing X amount of business and whatnot. And they sounded like pretty convincing arguments. You know, it made me feel bad for Bitcoin. But when I went down and read the comments of the, you know, people that were rebutting the article, they pointed out that Bitcoin is a technology and not really a company. And it doesn't have a marketing department. It doesn't have, you know, a CEO or a CFO or anything like that. And the better comparison was to the ARPANET or the internet. Or even email. If you think about email, it's been around since 1972. You know, so it took it much longer than 10 years to become as ubiquitous as it is. And the internet as well. You know, the ARPANET was around in the 60s. So anyway, and then the old tired and true, you know, Bitcoin is only used by criminals argument gets brought up quite a bit still, or that it's, you know, they're all scammers or you're going to get hacked, that kind of stuff. But, you know, most of them were fairly positive. One thing that I noticed that did sort of kind of hit me in the gut was all this year, during this bear market for cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, people kept saying how, you know, it's dropped, you know, 70% off its highs, you know, or 90% or whatever they want to say. And they were always comparing Bitcoin to its $20,000 high, where in the course of this entire year, it's been higher than it was the year previous. So in March, you know, it was still around 6,000, and the previous March 2017, it was, you know, in the low thousands. But I guess a bittersweet thing happened on, I don't know if it was exactly the 31st. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. I read this in some different article, but I found this tonight. So apparently on the 31st of October in 2017, Bitcoin was trading at 64.4322, whereas on the 31st of this year, it was at 62.63. So I don't know if that was the first day it happened, but it was a year-over-year lower price for Bitcoin. So a little bit of sad news, I guess you could say. So this was one of the most more poignant comparisons I felt. You know, I've always been able to say to people that Bitcoin is higher than it was last year, but now I can't say that anymore. So we'll see. We'll see. Hey, there's a lot of people that just joined. I read this morning an article that said Bitcoin is going to be at 1 million or billion in the next 5 to 10 years. I saw something on Twitter where somebody was saying something about Bitcoin being 25,000 by the end of this year, you know, 50,000 by the end of next year, you know, 100,000 after that. And it, you know, if it survives as a technology and a store of value, that's a pretty logical prediction, because Bitcoin was designed to have a 21 million pardon me, 21 million Bitcoin limit. That's the total amount that will ever be mined in Bitcoin. That's the way it's designed. So it will, as time goes by, become more precious, right? And more valuable if it survives as a technology. So, but we don't know that. You know, it might be supplanted with something better, like I don't know, Litecoin or Ethereum or Cardano or Tron or whatever. You know, something that comes along and it turns out to be a better store of value. So we'll see. I really can't predict the price of Bitcoin, but I can, you know, I believe in the technology of decentralized digital currency, right, as opposed to fiat currency issued by governments and banks. I believe that this is a technology whose time has come, and that there will be big changes in the future. I can't say if that will reflect in the price of the Bitcoin that I buy and hold today, but I do believe in the technology. A couple other little news topics that are interesting. Let's see where we go here. Yeah, the CNN article. A financial guru apparently is saying that Bitcoin exchange traded funds are not going to be approved anytime soon. This was a big thing over the course of 2018. There was a lot of excitement generated about exchange traded funds for Bitcoin, and so far the SEC has not approved any of them. And so, you know, the price of Bitcoin sort of rose and fell on the news of these ETFs. You know, the run up to the hearings, and then the downslide after the announcements. So I believe there's a big decision that needs to be made by the SEC in February. I think that's kind of where people are moving towards. I thought there was another one that might be coming up before the end of the year. I might be wrong about that. But anyway, this article is saying that he doesn't feel the SEC is going to approve exchange traded funds anytime in the near future. So we'll see about that, right? And let's see what else we got here. Coinbase has added BAT tokens to their list of tradable tokens. Pretty cool. Let's see, we'll go over here to my Chrome. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, see, there we are. BAT and US dollar C, whatever that is. Oh, I thought I was signed in. Oh well. I guess I got signed out. Yep. Let's take a look at it. It doesn't work in my Brave browser. I played around with it in Brave. It doesn't work. The first thing I tried was turning off the Brave, the shields, and it seemed to work after that, but then it stopped working. So I switched over to Chrome, and it seems to work okay in Chrome. So the USDC, I'm not sure exactly what that is and how you get a hold of it. I guess you could sell Bitcoin for that. Right? If you wanted to buy some of this USDC, I would say it's a US dollar coin. Forgive me for being ignorant, but I haven't been following. I don't follow stable coins that much. Maybe I should. I've always thought of them as boring. But anyway, apparently, you know, Coinbase supports this particular stable coin. And, you know, if you have some in your portfolio, you can use it to buy BAT, which is pretty cool. I noticed that the price of BAT went up today, earlier. So that must have been it. And it will probably drop on the actual event. Usually it runs up on the news, and then when the event occurs, the price goes back down again. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Thanks, John. Do I think the feds and the big institutions are trying to take over the crypto market? Well, I wouldn't put it past them. I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I know that large banks and large, you know, funds manipulate the price of gold by using futures contracts. I mean, I can't prove that, but I've read stories where they said, you know, that when the stock market goes down or the price of gold goes up or down, they buy a bunch of futures, you know, huge future trades go through. So I'm sure that they're using, you know, gold futures contracts to manipulate the price of gold, you know, to keep the economy stable, whatever you want to call it. So I'm sure that you know, it won't be that difficult for the feds or anyone else. Well, not anyone else, but the feds to corner sort of the market on crypto. We're only talking about, you know, $200 billion. You know, they're manipulating trillions of dollars by raising interest rates and issuing currency and whatnot. So I mean, they have the tools to manipulate and adjust our, you know, trillion-dollar economy. I'm sure they have the means to sort of manipulate or control or stabilize, so to speak, the Bitcoin market. We'll see. Maybe not so much the rest of the cryptocurrency market, but right now, you know, Bitcoin is the head that you know, you wag the dog, right? Bitcoin moves up and down. The rest of the cryptocurrencies tend to follow. And I hope that that becomes a thing of the past as we move forward too. I've always looked forward to the day when the altcoins, the non-Bitcoin cryptocurrencies, go up and down on their own. And we've sort of been seeing that. Like, for example, BAT. You know, if you look at BAT, I'm having some trouble with my mouse lately. Let's go over to Brave. If you look at the price of BAT, it's up like 15% today. And if we look at the chart, let's look at the 1 month chart. Yeah, it's doing pretty well, and it looks a lot different than Bitcoin's chart, right? Bitcoin, Where'd it go? Here we go. Sorry, guys. If we look at Bitcoin's chart, it's been really stable over the last, let's look at the 1 month chart for Bitcoin. Pretty darn stable. You know, it had that dip earlier in the month, but it's been pretty stable. So it's almost a straight line. And then when you look at BAT, you know, and but a lot of the other cryptocurrencies are also pretty much on straight lines as well. I mean, let's look at Ethereum. If we look at the 1 month chart for Ethereum, pretty stable. That dip earlier in the month, that Bitcoin, it sort of followed Bitcoin, but it's been pretty stable. So most of the major cryptocurrencies have been pretty darn stable in October, and I don't know whether to laugh or cry. You know, I would love to see them all go to the moon. Let's see, let's try Litecoin too. I think Litecoin has been pretty stable. Yeah, nothing too exciting going on with Litecoin. And you know, there's a few cryptocurrencies that, like we mentioned, BAT, that are doing pretty well, independent of the rest of the crypto market. Polymath, you know, if we look at Polymath over the last month, you know, it's been on a steady rise too. So there are some cryptocurrencies that are bucking the trend. Happy Friday, Melissa, Grand Illusion. Thanks for joining me. Did I say Grand Illusion? Thank you for joining us, Grand Illusion. Harper C. Is it safe to store your Bitcoin on Electrum wallet, or is it better to move them to Coinbase where you bought them? Okay, that's an interesting question. What do you want to say? The pat answer to that question is that you should always keep your cryptocurrency in your own wallet with your private key, and that means you have total control. That way, Coinbase could go down, Coinbase could get shut down, Coinbase could get hacked. A lot of things that could happen on a cryptocurrency exchange. Your funds basically are dependent on your access to their servers. And if you lose that access, you've lost your cryptocurrency. It may not be permanent, but not having access to your cryptocurrency for a few days might be a bad thing if the price is diving and you're trying to get out. Now, if you have it in the Electrum wallet, the only thing you need is access to the internet, and you know, through that you'll have access to the blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain. Now, whether you think that Electrum is a good wallet compared to other wallets, that's another question. But between Electrum and Coinbase, I would say you're better off keeping it in your own wallet. And then, but we also have to qualify that with, you know, how much experience do you have? Are you adept at managing a wallet? Are you going to lose your password, or, you know, lose your passphrase or your seed phrase? Is your computer going to crash? You know, you have to be rigorous when dealing with cryptocurrencies. And I think I was reading an article earlier about people in the U.S. Or modern people. They're so used to having third parties manage their, you know, their finances. The banks manage your money. You know, your brokers manage your trading stuff. So all of these types of services, if you lose your, you know, your ATM card or whatever, you just call them and they can fix it for you, right? But cryptocurrency wallets are not like that. You have total responsibility. So if you're not very experienced, you might be better to keep it on Coinbase. They're one of the most trusted names in cryptocurrency right now. So it just depends on you, really. But the pat answer is you're better off with a private wallet. And if you've watched me before, you guys know that that was a no-brainer question for me, right? Yeah, so we're talking about manipulators, and my only fear is that if they're trading Bitcoin futures and they don't really have to be settled in real Bitcoin, then they might be able to manipulate the price of Bitcoin on paper by buying and selling futures. So we'll see. But like we mentioned, Bitcoin is a finite resource. Gold is too, but it's something that as time goes by will get harder to manipulate, hopefully. Binance. Is Binance safe to store cryptocurrency? I trust Binance, but I don't hold long-term coins in Binance. I just hold some coins in there. I like to buy and sell on Binance, but my pattern usually is to buy some Bitcoin or Ethereum on Coinbase, transfer it to Binance or Bittrex, do some trading, and then after I'm done and I have the cryptocurrency that I'm after, I move it into my own wallet, whether it's the Ledger wallet or whether it's a paper wallet, or there's different wallets for different types of cryptocurrency. Like for ADA, you probably need to be using Daedalus. ADA is not supported on the Ledger yet. Oh, and while we're talking about the Ledger, yeah. Let's take a look. Oh, I guess I should go over here. Sorry, guys. All right. I just want to see my description here. Pause that. Oh, yeah. The birthday of Bitcoin is being celebrated by Ledger. Oh, and I just saw Ledger is going to be supporting IOTA. We'll see. The limited edition white paper edition of Ledger Nano S has come out, and not only is it kind of a different color than the other Ledger, it doesn't appear to be anything like an upgrade where it has more storage space. But it does, it's a nice collectible thing that you might want to check out. I ordered one, so I'll do an unboxing video next week. But it comes with the original, well, not the original, but the white paper for Bitcoin and a little pamphlet. And it looks like this is the Sgt. Pepper cover here. I don't know. And then, some of the cryptocurrency heroes from over the year. It was pretty cool. So, yeah, it looks like, it is like the Bitcoin. It is looks like the Sgt. Pepper. So if you're, sentimental like me, and a big believer in the Ledger Nano S, I recommend you grab this thing. I did, and it's going to be pretty cool. But it's not going to be any different than the other Ledger, really. And it's nice to have an extra Ledger around. You can restore it so that it's a mirror image of your main Ledger. You can reset it and set it up as brand new. So it can be an alternate place to store some of your cryptocurrency. Or you can just play around with it, do some experiments, since your crypto's safe on your main Ledger. So it's up to you. Yeah, when I trade on Binance, I use BNB when I'm trading between different cryptocurrency. I forgot where we go to sync the Ledger Nano S. I used to use Chrome Ledger, but I think you mentioned we could now use its ledger.com. Have I looked into the Liquid Exchange? If you are using a Ledger Nano S, the best thing to do would be to just use Ledger Live. That's their new software. And all you have to do is download and install it, and you'll be able to, you know, access your wallets. Let's see if I have a video on how to set it up. Now, if you're using like Windows 8 or Windows 7 or something of that nature, you might want to stick with the Chrome apps, and you can still get those. Let's see if I've got those here. Well, you just can Google it. But of course you have to be using Chrome if you want to use them. And so when you use Ledger Live, that is a standalone application. Why don't we fire it up here? So you know, you go to Ledger Live. It's right here in the middle. You download the software and then install it on your computer. And then you'll have access to all of your cryptocurrency wallets. You know, I should point out, we've talked about this before, and this is a little bit hard to wrap your head around. But the Ledger Nano S, when you first set up a Ledger Nano S, from you know, right when it comes out of the box, when you first set it up, it generates a random 256-bit key. And that 256-bit key can be represented by the 24-word recovery phrase. So those two things are dependent, or the 24-word recovery phrase is dependent on the 256-bit key. That 256-bit key is the heart of the Ledger Nano S. And every single private key that it generates for every cryptocurrency will always be the same. So for instance, let's say I start with this 256-bit key. I generate a private key for Bitcoin, and then I use that as a wallet. Then I wipe the ledger off, right? And I restore it using my 24-word recovery phrase, starting with that same 256-bit key. The first Bitcoin private key that it generates will be the exact same one it generated before. We call that deterministic. So if you've got 5 or 6 different cryptocurrencies and all those wallets are on there, you can wipe that ledger off. It doesn't remember those private keys at all. The only thing it remembers is that 256-bit key, that base key. And every time you go to accounts and generate a new Bitcoin, like you say, hit Bitcoin, it'll go and it'll generate a private key, regenerate, and it's always the exact same one it did the first time, so you'll get your wallet back. So that's what's so amazing about the Ledger Nano S and the 24-word recovery phrase. It doesn't remember your wallets, it just automatically regenerates them every time you do a reset and restore. Pretty cool. That's why you can also generate mirror images on a different ledger. You use the same key when you restore, and then it doesn't remember, it just regenerates those same private keys that it did on the first ledger. So I always thought that was just really cool, because I always racked my brain going, how does it remember all these wallets? I don't get it. Alright. D-Wolf, is there anything like a universal wallet where I can store every cryptocurrency? No. There's not. It would be nice if there was. There are several wallets that support a nice little basket of cryptocurrencies, but there is no one universal wallet that supports all cryptocurrencies. And that's just because of the nature of cryptocurrency and the way it works. Now, when you think about Ethereum, if there's an Ethereum-based wallet that support ERC20 tokens, that's quite a few. There are a lot of ERC20 tokens out there. Those are tokens that are based on the Ethereum network. So let's take a look at one. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, I don't think it's not on. Let's turn this on here. Okay. Like, for example, the Trust Wallet. The Trust Wallet is an Ethereum-based wallet. So you'll notice that the Ethereum... Ooh, pooies. My mouse is still giving me a hard time. The Ethereum is up here at the top, right? Ethereum is the #1, and all of these other tokens down here are based on the exact same Ethereum address. Ethereum ERC20 tokens live on the Ethereum network, and your own tokens live in the same, and there are thousands of ERC20 tokens. So that's a pretty good representation of quite a few cryptocurrencies, an Ethereum-based wallet. So like if we look at this Ethereum and we choose receive, you see that address there, that 0xFA0EB18B blah blah blah. If we go to any of these other tokens, if we go to the basic attention token and we click receive, you'll see it's the exact same Ethereum address. So the Ethereum, whoops, I think it sounded too close to Siri there. The Ethereum address can hold multiple ERC20 tokens. So this particular wallet could hold hundreds, maybe thousands of different cryptocurrencies, but it won't hold all of them, right? Let me turn off mirroring here. And then you have access, whoops. You have access to all your ERC20 tokens on your ledger if you use My Ether Wallet. So if you go over here to My Ether Wallet, you know, you can use this interface to access the Ethereum address on that. If you set up an Ethereum key on this ledger, you can also store you can also store ERC20 tokens on here as well. So the ledger does a pretty good job of supporting quite a few cryptocurrencies. There are some other wallets out there like Exodus. Let's see here. Exodus wallet. The Exodus wallet supports quite a few cryptocurrencies. It's sort of, I don't know, it's kind of what you would call a hot wallet in a way, because it's sort of cloud-based, but it is cool because it supports quite a few different cryptocurrencies in the same interface, right? It looks really nice, right? It's got a really nice clean interface, but there's a little bit of going on under the hood. I'm not a huge fan of Exodus. I did some videos on it, but it is a pretty decent multi-cryptocurrency wallet if that's what you're after. Otherwise, you know, you get a wallet per currency, right? The Electrum Bitcoin wallet only holds Bitcoin. You know, the Litecoin Core wallet only holds Litecoin. The Daedalus wallet only holds Cardano. The Tron wallet only holds Tron, but there are going to be there are quite a few Tron tokens out there that live on the Tron network that are also supported in Tron wallet. But the Tron wallet won't hold Bitcoin or anything else. And then also the Stellar network, if you use Stellar and you have Stellar, Stellar has a way to support other cryptocurrencies. I got Stellar on here. Oh. This thing's unplugged. I'll demonstrate that. Stellar is a pretty interesting company, cryptocurrency / payment system solution. If you don't know anything about Stellar, you might want to check into that. It's like number 4 or 5 in market cap. I'm going to go into my... Okay. So I have Stellar on here. We can go into that. And then we'll go over here to Stellar Port. Hopefully this will work. Yeah, okay. So you'll notice here on Stellar, if we go to the wallet, you can see that I have a Stellar public address up here, and that there is some Stellar in the wallet, right? But there's also some Bitcoin in the same wallet, sort of linked to it with like a third party kind of a thing. And then there are I have a few native Stellar tokens like Glitzcoin, Mobi, and Nitro Energy. These are what we call native Stellar cryptocurrencies. You can buy and sell them on the Stellar network. So in one sense, I can hold quite, there's a whole universe of coins that are supported on this Stellar Port exchange. And all of these coins kind of live inside this whole Stellar public key. So I've got the Bitcoin tether, and then if you go over to the exchange, you'll see that I could buy Litecoin if I wanted to. At least I think, yeah, I could buy ETH, right, and store it in this wallet. And you know, I can buy BAT. I'm pretty sure, I know you can buy, yeah, there's Litecoin here. So all of these coins are sort of, you know, tethered to your Stellar address. So in that sense, that's a pretty good way to hold a lot of different cryptocurrencies in one wallet, right? You can do that with any type of Stellar wallet. You can use this exchange. If you've got a Stellar public key, or you know, a private public Stellar address, right? You can do that with a Ledger Nano S. You can do it as a standalone wallet. You can do it on a Trezor, I believe. You know, there's lots of ways to use the Stellar-based network to hold multiple cryptocurrencies in one address. So not a silly question at all, D-Wolf, not at all. Okay, so Ranjan is mentioning the Apollo wallet. You might want to check that out. What are your views on Bitcoin private versus Ethereum? Well, I don't know. That's sort of apples and oranges. Ethereum is kind of a virtual machine kind of cryptocurrency. It has its own token called Ether, and it hosts distributed apps and smart contracts and ERC20 tokens. Whereas Bitcoin Private, I believe, is kind of a fork off of the Bitcoin blockchain. So Bitcoin Private is more of a standalone currency type. Whether I should recommend you buy one or the other, I don't know. I've been sort of disappointed with the price of Ethereum this year, so you know, what do I know? I just assumed that Ethereum would be like, you know, the next Bitcoin, but it hasn't really. I figured Ethereum would be 20,000 by the end of this year, but it doesn't look like it's going to get there. That's why I'm not the best person to ask for investing advice. I'm just asking that after XRP hits the moon, will I be able to withdraw 200,000 cash to my bank as easily as $200 through Coinbase or whatever? A very good question, Charles. And we've talked about this before on the live stream. So let's say that I've got XRP and it is worth $1 million. Just throw that out there. If I want to cash out to fiat, then it might not be that easy, right? I could transfer, I could go on an exchange like Coinbase and sell that $1 million worth of Ripple. It might clear right away. I don't know. It might. And then I would have I'd have $1 million in my Coinbase account. Now, transferring $1 million from Coinbase to my bank may not be that straightforward. You know, the Coinbase may tell me that's going to take a week or two, or, you know, my bank might tell me I have to wait for, you know, a couple of days or a week or whatever before I can withdraw it. And, you know, what am I going to do with that $1 million anyway? Am I going to withdraw it in cash? Or am I just going to write checks off of it and use my ATM card, you know, and enjoy the life of the rich and famous? Either way, when we cash out to fiat, then we're back in, you know, the bank's clutches, right? We're dependent on the bank and whether they're going to give us access to our money or not. You know, it's funny, I work as a manager here in my little apartment complex, and a new tenant moved in from out of town, and she opened a bank account and she put a bunch of money in there, but they wouldn't let her take cash out. It was weird. She was going to withdraw enough cash to pay her first month's rent and deposit, and she couldn't. The bank wouldn't let her, so she had to get cashier's checks. So we don't want to be at the whim of banks. Even when we put our own money in there, we're still, you know, at their mercy, so to speak. The other alternative would be, suppose you've got $1 million worth of Ripple stored in your own wallet, and then you can use your Ripple to buy stuff, right? Ripple is accepted universally. Let's say we're 5-10 years down the road, and you can buy a car with Ripple. You could fill a basket full of groceries at the grocery store using your Ripple. Why worry about whether you can withdraw it to your bank or not? You know, that's the whole idea. We don't want to depend on banks anymore. We could just use our cryptocurrency to buy the stuff we need, right? That's the idea. That's the promise of cryptocurrency. Or, you know, I owe you money, you owe me money, and we can exchange cryptocurrency with our phone or our desktops or our laptops or whatever, and, you know, we don't have to, you know, hand bags of money to each other, you know, or, you know, that's the idea, you know, a digital exchange that's free from a middleman. Nobody's taking their cut, right? Some of the tenants pay me with PayPal, and they get hit with a fee every time they do it. Or they give it, you know, or either that or I get it. But somebody's always taking their pound of flesh when you deal with, you know, the current financial system, you know, the way it is. PayPal is great and convenient, but they take, you know, a merchant charge, a pretty nice chunk. Credit cards, they're fast and they're convenient, but the merchants are under the thumb of the credit card companies. They charge them 2 to 4% when customers come into their stores and use credit cards. So the idea of cryptocurrency is that we won't have to worry about using banks anymore, and, you know, the people that are, you know, telling us when we can and can't have our money, and or using third-party financial services to make purchases. We want to be able to do it seamlessly, globally, you know, decentralized. So that would be my answer to that. You know, how am I going to get my money? It would be up to your bank, basically. Will your bank allow you to take, a transfer of $1 million and withdraw it tomorrow or not? We don't know. We have to check with our bank. XRP may not be the best example, right? Because it is controlled by bankers and it is a private company. That whole spiel might have been better if I'd used Stellar or Bitcoin, because they're open source, public coins. They're not controlled by any entity. XRP is, right? Ripple is a company, and XRP is their token. XLM, right? That's why I was talking about Stellar here. Stellar may be that new system where we can bypass the centralized control of banks and merchant services and just do business with each other. And over time, the big merchants that we want to buy stuff from will maybe start accepting Stellar, right? So why should I sell my Stellar for dollars and put it in my bank just so I can make a purchase on Amazon, when I could just as easily just go to Amazon and use Stellar to purchase that new laptop or that new humidifier or whatever, or the new wardrobe. Just buy it all with my Stellar. Yes, and I have heard that it does raise the eyebrows of the powers that be when you transfer that kind of money into your bank account and start using it. They tend to treat you as a money launderer. When banks and, let's call them the elite or the rich, transfer huge sums of money between each other, nobody bats an eye. But when you or I, cashes out of cryptocurrency and throw 200K into our own bank account, we're red flagged. Usually for taxes purposes, we're red flagged. And I heard a story of a guy that, sold a bunch of his Bitcoin on Coinbase and then cashed out, and then they seized his bank account, or they shut his bank account down because they thought he was laundering money, So we have to be careful. So maybe it's better not to, use the bank as the funnel point. Or if you're going to use your bank, maybe don't go crazy, right? If I got $1 million worth of Bitcoin, I can just hang on to it and maybe throw 5,000 worth into my bank account and use that for a few months. Just only transfer what I need, and just pay your taxes on that. So there won't be any red flags. All right, just do what you're supposed to do. Be your own bank, right? BYOB. Do you think Tron is going to be over $100 in the next years? Well, I hope so. I like Tron. Let's see here. Let's play with Tron a little bit, just so everybody can get a feel for it. Right? I like Tron. I have to re-enter my PIN code here. Ooh. Okay, so we're gonna exit the Stellar app, and then we're gonna go to Tron, right? We'll enter Tron, and then there's the Tron scan software. We can just go over here to. Actually, their website doesn't work very well for me. I'm gonna use the software. You can get the software by just doing Tron scan. Oops. Like that. And you just go to their GitHub site. Right? Get the latest version of it. And you just download it to your computer. What am I doing here? Ah, there it is. I was looking for the chat window. Okay. And so now that I've got Tron Scan software downloaded and extracted, I can launch it. it's sort of, it looks like this, you know. I got the latest version here. All right, I'm gonna run it. Now it sort of remembers where I was last time. Oh, it doesn't. Oh yeah, it's like it's logged into the wallet. So I'm just gonna log out to show you what happens. So basically, you know, you'll open, once you get the software, as long as you've got a private key, you know, you can create a wallet and transfer Tron into it, and then you'll have to manage that private key on your own, or you can open a different wallet, like if you've got a key store file, or a private key, or a Trezor. I don't know if they, yeah, Trezor is coming soon, but they do support Ledger, so it finds the private key that I generated on the Ledger when I created the wallet in the first place, right? And then we'll just open the wallet, and there you can see that I've got some Tron in here, and then I also have some other tokens, right? This Tron Watch Market is a recent Tron IPO. We can go over to their website. And so Tron Watch Market is a new company that had an ICO. The token sale has ended, right? I think it was only in October. And so you could buy those tokens, and you use the Tron wallet to do that, right? So you could, let's say you go over here to tokens, participate. I looked for it the other day. I couldn't find it. I don't believe it's TWX. It's something. You have to be careful with Tron because there's a bunch of like wannabe coins, right? Coins that are probably never going to be worth anything. Anyone can make a coin. But there's, you know, there's a bunch of little ICOs out there that you might want to, you know, jump in on. You never know. Let's see if I can get to it. I think because the I guess this is it. I think that because the token sale is over, it's not there anymore. See, these are like finished, but I could say participate in. Let's see if there's one here. TWX. I think TWX. No, that's not what I'm thinking of. Yeah, see, I can't. There's no website. Well, I won't make the total purchase then. Let's say if I go to participate and I decide I want to join the Wonder Woman token, right? It says, oh, okay, so how many Tron do you want to spend? Like spend 100 Tron, right? And then, okay, are you sure? So if I were going to buy this token, I could just buy it, and then it would ask me to confirm on the ledger because the Tron is stored securely on the ledger. And then when I'm done, you know, I can go back to the wallet and see here if I would scroll down and say, oh, look, I got some Wonder Woman token here. And some of these, like this Bitcoin, I didn't buy this. I didn't buy the McDonald's coin. I didn't buy the Lucky Chips coin. They're kind of like spam coins. People sent them to me, right? But this Tron Watch Market, I bought because I thought it looked interesting. And, you know, it could be worth something down the road someday. We don't know. But it's sort of like the Ethereum network and the Stellar network has its has its own mainnet, has its own sub tokens that live on the same address as the Tron lives on, right? That this public address here, this Tron public address, is the same address that you send the tokens to if you are moving the tokens around. Very similar to ERC20 tokens. TRX, yeah, that's the yeah. Let's look at the price charts here. TRX is currently number 11. at some point is, I believe it was higher at some point. I think it was 10 or 9 or 10 a while back. It's got promise, you know. It's not some, you know, run a, you know, fly-by-night coin. It's been around for a while. It was a ERC20 token, and then it launched its own mainnet, so it has its own network, right? It has its own blockchain. Similar, Cardano is going to do the same, but Cardano is still in kind of a building phase. It hasn't really reached its potential yet. It's slow and steady wins the race with Cardano. But Tron is an up-and-coming token that has its own, you know, virtual machine. You know, it runs dApps, just like Ethereum, EOS, and Cardano, and a couple of the others out there. I think Neo does too. So it's an interesting coin. You can do some cool stuff with it. Not worth much right now. So you know, if you're thinking of, you know, if you're thinking of buying any cryptocurrency, it's this is the bear market right now. So you might better to buy it while it's low than when it's high, right? That's what they say. And I'm assuming IOTA will probably go up because they just announced, the Ledger announced IOTA support. I think that was one of the breaking news stories, right? IOTA is going to integrate with the Ledger hardware wallet. We'll see. IOTA is kind of a weird blockchain. It has its own like computer language. It uses triads. It's trinary. Numbers instead of binary numbers. It's kind of like, it's its own thing, right? But you know, a lot of people are interested in IOTA. Supposedly the Internet of Things, right? Interesting coin. Shahid, thank you. Oh, your clocks already went back, huh? Ours don't go back until Sunday night. Yeah, I used to always, my mom sent me a reminder for daylight savings time, and it was like, I don't recall the last time it ever really bothered me, because all of the clocks in our house are automatic, you know, most of them. There's a couple, I think we have 1 or 2 wall clocks, but the computers, the phones, the tablets, everything automatically adjusts, so we just wake up the next morning and the time has changed. It used to be a big deal, right? You used to, like, if you forgot to set your clock, you were just like ostracized by society. Do I think Tron will be over $100 in the next years? Like I said, I don't know. I hope so. Oh, okay, so Eric was asking me about how do we transfer the Tron out of the Ledger S using the Tron via Tron Scan. I've tried many times with Binance. Okay, that's something I can sink my teeth into. I know how to do that. So we got Tron Scan up, right? We have access to our Tron. And what we need to do is open up our Binance. So we'll go to Binance. I haven't logged into my Binance in a while. I don't know if this thing is going to work for me or not. Oh, it works. Hey. Oh, that's right, because Brave is now Chrome-based. Oh, it's still not letting me. Okay. That's what I got to put the shields down for this to work. Now let's see if it'll let me do this. See? Okay. Alright. So we're going to use our two-factor authentication for our Binance. All right. And now we're in the Binance. Let's go to funds. Whoops. Balances. And I don't think I have any Tron in here now. All right. It's empty. All right. So how do we get the Tron into the Binance account, right? So we're going to make a deposit. The ERC, this is not, I have real Tron. I transferred my ERC20 Tron into real Tron a while back. And there's a video on how to do that I made, if that's your problem. I don't know if that's your problem, Eric. But you've got Tron scan software, you most likely have real Tron. All right, so we don't need to worry. So we'll understand. This is a Tron address. All right, there's our Tron deposit address, right? I'm going to copy that. All right, and let's go back over to Tron scan, and we need to go to the wallet again. We need to go up here to wallet and use the send feature, right? There's our valid address, the one we just copied from our Binance Tron wallet, right? I'm gonna send 100, not gonna go crazy, and I'm gonna hit send, right? And then I need to confirm on the ledger, right? You may be missing this step. So a lot of people don't realize the ledger is waiting for you, right? You have to confirm on the ledger. What happened there? I missed it. Maybe I was talking too much. Let's try again. This time I won't talk. Something went wrong. Ah, okay. All right. Something went wrong. This always happens when I try to do this stuff live, right? What's going on here? Send Tron. Oh, I received ring coin. Someone was nice enough to send me ring coin. Let's see. Did it send? Looks like maybe it did. Yeah, it was 28, wasn't it? When we started this whole... Oh, wait, there it is, 28. That's interesting. So let's go back here again. Well, let's check Binance and see. We'll go back over here to Binance and let's go to funds. Yeah, I should see Tron, right? And transaction history. Ah, there it is. Oh, it is coming through. So it gave me an error message when I sent it, but it did go through, right? Because it's confirming. If it's confirming, that means it's there, right? The only thing the confirmation does, once you have it completely, then you can spend it, right? But it's definitely there. The transaction went through. So, you know, and also, when I'm doing something like this, always, I know it's kind of a pain, but always start with a real small amount you can afford to lose, right? So just to make sure it's going to work. Why would I send, you know, all the Tron I own in one fell swoop on the first try and then, you know, wonder what happened if it didn't go through, you know, like I sent it to the wrong address or whatever. So, but that was it. That was pretty much all I needed to do, right? So I went to this wallet interface, I went to the send, I put in the address that I copied from Binance, and I put in an amount. I clicked send, and then I confirmed on the ledger, so the ledger would release the Tron and send it. That's the security of the ledger. I just can't willy-nilly send anything unless I confirm it with the hardware buttons, right? That's the second factor of authentication, right? So let's go check our Binance again, and let's do a refresh. Usually Tron comes in really fast, right? So let's go to balances, and there, Tron's at the top now, because I have $200 worth of Tron. I'm sorry, 200 Tron. The total value is $52. There's a couple. Oh, I've got some EOS in here too. Let's hide small balances. The small balances even hid the Tron, right? Because that Tron is not worth much at all, right? The $52 worth is the EOS mostly. But that's it. You know, if I'd have transferred, 10,000 Tron, there'd have been, the value of the portfolio would have gone up accordingly. We just did a small transaction. But now we're confident that we can transfer that Tron. We go back to the wallet, send. And this time we just send it all, right? Oh, right. This doesn't make it... it doesn't autofill down here. It just tells you. You could switch it. I could switch over to the Tron Watch token or the Tron Watch Market token and send them to any valid Tron address. But I wouldn't send them to a cryptocurrency exchange, right? That wouldn't help me at the moment, right? Unless that cryptocurrency exchange supported that particular Tron token, then I could cash out. I'd be much better off cashing out on a decentralized Tron exchange. Let's see. Well, we just talked about it. Let's go here. The Tron Watch Market is going to be a decentralized Tron exchange where you can buy and sell Tron. Demo. Right? It's a decentralized Tron exchange where you can buy and sell native Tron tokens back and forth. It's not operational. This is just a, like a test net. But basically it's very similar to that Stellar port that we looked at earlier, or Ether Delta, or any of the number of decentralized type cryptocurrency specific exchanges that we've talked about. This is exciting. All this stuff is exciting to me. I'm sure the government will want to regulate this kind of stuff eventually, but as it stands now, we're kind of in a Wild West period. And maybe, I'll pick up on the cheap some token that will rise to greatness at some point in the future. Because we're the first to get here, right? We're the settlers, we're the wranglers, the ranchers, the sheep herders, whatever, in the Wild West, right? We got here first and we figured out how to do it, and we stuck our little property marker in, and we bought ourselves some tokens, and we'll keep them in our own wallet until such a time as we can either use that wallet to buy stuff, or we can sell at a profit, however we want to do this. Okay, Ran, good night. Sophia, your grandkids might see $10 in Digibyte. Right, that's true. Use the Force, Sophia. Rex, if you accidentally send me your Tron, I promise to send it back. Why don't you send me your Tron address, and we'll see if any Tron gets to you or not. Back in 2017, I had lots of people begging me to send them Ripple because they were confused. When you tried to sign up for a Ripple account on GateHub, it was telling you had to have at least 20 Ripple in your wallet for the wallet to be functional. And it was confusing. There was a way to do it. When you when you made the purchase and you transferred the Bitcoin or whatever into their exchange and set up the wallet, it would fund that wallet with 20 Ripple automatically. But most people were very confused. So I was getting people begging me all the time, please send me 20 Ripple so I can access my wallet and blah, blah, blah. And I did to one guy, and, you know, he never sent anything back. It wasn't, you know, it was, you know, $5-10 worth of Ripple at the time. But yeah, I mean, devoted followers, send me an address. We'll do an experiment. I'm not going to send you the whole farm. Thank you, Amit. Yeah, it all started with the Bitcoin Armory wallet. It took me a while to wrap my head around how Bitcoin worked. Back in 2013, I bought myself a little miner. So I was trying to figure out how to sign up to a mining pool, how to set up a wallet, how to transfer coins back and forth. And once I got it all done, my wife was always making fun of me because I would log into my wallet every single day and look at how much Bitcoin was coming in there. Over the course of a year and a half, I ended up with like 2 Bitcoin. And spent it before it, you know, really took off. But I had fun, and I broke even, and I still have that hard drive that I bought on Newegg with my Bitcoin. But that's where I learned, you know, this whole business of wallets and how they go back and forth. Good stuff, fun stuff. Binance was sending me alerts that I made my deposit of my Tron, right? And I have no reason not to trust Binance, you know. You know, I hate to say this, but people in the U.S. seem to be overly reliant on authority and regulation and rules and, like, you know, how do you know that you can trust Binance? Well, I can trust Binance because they're in business to be trusted, right? If people don't trust Binance, then no one's going to use their platform. So, you know, if they're ripping people off, then they won't be in business very long, and nobody will move their crypto there, and they won't get any more of their trading fees. So it's in their best interest to be trustworthy. I lived abroad for a few years. I lived in Indonesia. That's where I met my wife. And they have food carts everywhere and street food. And people, you know, in my experience, you know, you got a guy walking down the middle of the street with a cart and he's selling food. You know, in LA, the police would give the guy a ticket. You know, where's your license? Where's your health inspection code? You know, all that other stuff. Well, you know, they do it, and people buy it, and people eat it, and they don't die. And, you know, the guy, if he was selling poison food, if he was selling rotten food, he wouldn't be in business very long. So you kind of have to trust the culture, trust the process, you know, instead of saying, oh, that's not regulated, I'm not going to touch that food. You know, take a chance, you know, because he wouldn't be in business very long if his food sucked, right? Same with Binance, right? They've been around a while. A lot of people use them. They're one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges out there. I would trust my coins to it to a certain extent. Now, like I said, cryptocurrency, you're better off storing it in your own wallet if you're a true aficionado, right? Because your coin will gain value even in your wallet. Some people have asked me that. What if the price goes up? I'm like, well, if the price goes up, then move it back to an exchange and sell it. Just like, you know, if you take gold and stick it in your safe deposit box and the price of gold goes up, it's worth more, right? You can just take it and sell it for the higher price. So the same with crypto. You store it in your wallet, and if the price goes up, the value of that crypto will go up as well when it's time to transfer it out somewhere. I want to get into staking, but a detailed video on how to. I don't know much about staking. I actually learned Nano S from you, but now I'm trying to figure out how I can use 2 Ledger Nano S at the same time with live on same laptop. Would be nice if you could do some video. Now I might do that. We talked about that last week, and we determined that what would happen would be when one of the Nanos is plugged in, you would have access to the account associated with that Nano's private key, right? And then you would create a different Bitcoin account. Let's see, I took it off. Okay, well, I think we still, got to put in this again. I talked too long. All right, it went into sleep mode. That's a good suggestion, though. I'm going to be getting another Ledger Nano S next week. Maybe I should do some of those multiple Ledger videos, just for people that are interested in that topic. But let's get out of the Tron. Let's go to the Bitcoin app. Oop. All right. And let's add a Bitcoin account, right? It's going to ask me, okay, are you in Bitcoin? I'll say, yeah. And it'll synchronize. And let's just assume that I just disconnected this one and connected a new one, right? Let's just make that assumption. And so it's going to scan, most likely, it won't find anything on this ledger has some old zeroed out Bitcoin accounts. So it's going to find those, of course. And then it sees the accounts that are already in there, of course. All right, there. All right, so let's, instead of calling this a blank Bitcoin 2, let's call this Bitcoin Ledger 2, right? We'll just assume this is my ledger number 2, right? I don't need those accounts. I'll take this account. Now, ledger number 2 is going to be empty right now, wherever it went, right? That's an empty account. And I've got ledger number 2 attached right now. And I can move some Bitcoin in there, right? And then, after I've moved the Bitcoin in there, I can disconnect this one and then reconnect ledger number 1. All right, and then ledger number 1 will have access to old Bitcoin, or I say old, but this is ledger number 1's Bitcoin, and you could even change the name of it, right, so that it said Bitcoin Ledger 1, right? So you can keep track of which ledger connects to which Bitcoin account. And so you'd have to maintain multiple accounts and switch back and forth with the ledger, but it's possible. But you wouldn't be able to access the other ledger's accounts in live when you had the other ledger attached, right? One ledger at a time will access the accounts that it created, right? Every time you run that tool, it generates a private key for a new Bitcoin wallet, right? And this would be a unique Bitcoin private key and address for Ledger 2. And then when you're done with Ledger 2, disconnect it, put it in a drawer, reattach Ledger number 1, and you would have access to Ledger number 1's Bitcoin wallet, right? And of course, they all have to sort of live together in the same Ledger Live interface. And if it was your wife's ledger, she would, when she uses Live, she'll be able to see the balance in your Bitcoin account, right? My wife will say, oh, Rex has $56 worth of Bitcoin in his bank account. And then when I'm using Live, I'll look at my wife's ledger account and go, oh, my wife's got, you know, $400 worth of Bitcoin in hers, right? So it's not like, it's not going to be private. If you want to be private, then put a copy of Ledger Live on 2 different computers and keep them separate and use the ledger separately. But if you got 2 ledgers and you want to check the balances on both ledgers in the same version of Live, it's possible. Just requires a bit of work. It's 3:20. Good night, Eric. Thanks for joining me. Oh, you must be on the East Coast. Thank you so much for joining. No problem, D-Wolf. You're in Germany. Have a good night. I appreciate you joining me from halfway around the world. Very nice of you. Yeah, Emmett is mentioning that you get fees when you move ERC20 tokens from your exchange account into Ledger. And the reason that that happens is, and I don't think I have it here. I don't have any ERC20 tokens here. Let's go over to Bittrex. And I understand exactly where you're at with this. And I'll explain to you why this happens. I guess it acted like that was the first time I came in. This is a new browser. Okay. So, if you'll notice here, I have Humanique, which is a ERC20 token. Now, normally, if I have an Ethereum-based wallet and it has ERC20 tokens, and I want to move those tokens, I need some Ethereum in the wallet. The Ethereum will pay the gas, right? So, in a normal personal type wallet, I'm only spending a little bit of my Ethereum to move all of my tokens, right? I'm going to use, I'll spend like 10 cents worth of Ethereum to send my Humanique. But unfortunately, with this Bittrex, it can't steal, it can't use my Ethereum to pay the gas. It has to pay the gas on its own. And so how do they pay the gas? They take it out of the, they charge you the transaction fee with the token that you're transferring. And in this case, Humanique is, let's do withdrawal. Humanique isn't worth very much right now. So it's gonna ding me 16 Humanique just to move 184. I'm not going to get 184. I'm going to get, you know, 184 minus 16 if I try to transfer, because they won't allow me to pay with my Ethereum. I'd rather use my Ethereum to pay for that transfer. It wouldn't cost me as many of my tokens. Now, that those 16 Humanique aren't worth that much, but they might be down the road. So why should I sacrifice 16 of my Humanique just to transfer? That's why they're still in this account. I started to transfer them into my ledger, and then I saw the fee, and I said, I don't want to. Now, if Humanique was, let's see, where is it? It's not very, its price is very low. What was it? HMQ. Right? What is it worth? 22 cents. Right? It's not worth very much. Now, if Humanique was $100 per token, then I would only charge me a fraction of a token to move those 184s over. You know, because I only need to pay that less than $1 fee out of my Humanique. So when you got ERC20 tokens on an exchange and their value is very low, in my case, I chose to just leave them there. It wasn't worth it to me. I'll wait for the price to go up and then I'll transfer them. That way I don't have to lose, you know, I only lose a couple of tokens or one rather than 16 of them. So that's what he's talking about with his dent, right? He lost 450 dent when he transferred it over to his Nano, right? That's one of the problems with the bear market, right? Now, if you purchase that dent on, say, Ether Delta, if you purchased it on a decentralized exchange, right, then Ether Delta, you have to connect, pardon me, you have to connect an Ethereum-based wallet when you're trading on Ether Delta. And when you transfer tokens, let's say I buy, you know, 1,000 dent, and I want to transfer them to my own wallet, my ledger, it will take the transfer fee out of my Ethereum, right? You have to have, you can use your Ledger Nano S, you can create your own, but you need Ethereum in the wallet to pay the gas fee. And that might be, if you want to buy more dent and transfer it to your own wallet, you might want to buy it on a decentralized exchange, because the centralized exchanges take it out of your token balance. That's the only thing they can do. I mean, they're not allowed to, like, say, oh look, Rex has Ethereum over in this other account, we'll just borrow some Ethereum from that account to pay his gas. They don't work like that, right? Each wallet is independent of the other wallets on a centralized exchange. It would be nice if they would use your Ethereum, if you could set that up, but I don't know that they can do that. There's probably like tax issues with that. Yeah, when Scott Lee moved his dent, they grabbed a bunch of it. And that's why, because they can only take it out of your token balance. Okay, guys, looks like we're down. I was a little tired today. I worked all day, but I couldn't let you guys down. There's no way. And I was a little short on ideas, but you guys asked some really good questions that allowed me to, you know, show you guys how to play with tokens. And, you know, a lot of you guys will say, oh, yeah, I've seen you do this so many times, but I always learn something new. And that always, you know, gives me heart that, you know, it's beneficial for you guys. Because, I mean, that's really all I can be is I enjoy doing these videos and the live streams. But, you know, if they weren't of any benefit to you guys, then, you know, what's the point, right? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's live stream. Please join me again next week. Let's do this thing. Every Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Join me for the live Q&A from LA. Throw out any questions that you may have. Chit-chat about the news. And we'll see where we go from there. Oops. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I would appreciate it. When you subscribe, there's a little bell that you can click that will allow you to be alerted whenever I post new content. Once again, thanks for joining me, and keep an eye on my channel for new videos. There might be something that you'll enjoy. Talk to you guys next week.